Hello, I'm Neil Nunes with the BBC News. Ukraine and Russia say the evacuation of civilians from the besieged Azovstal steelworks in Mariupol has been completed. Ukraine said all elderly people, women and children had been taken to safety. They were trapped for weeks under Russian bombardment. These evacuees spoke to reporters when they arrived in Bezimen, near the border with Russia.
I was going to the market when I saw a large crowd of people, and they said to me that there was a possibility of going to Zaporizhia. I was so excited. I had nothing with me except this bag.
For 2 weeks, we have been living in a basement. Then we heard about an evacuation to Zaporizhia, and we came to the mall in Mariupol. 8 children were sitting in a basement for 2 weeks, without water, bread, nothing. We will see if someone will help us.
Britain has pledged a further $1.6 billion in military and other aid to Ukraine. Nearly $400 million will provide the electronic warfare systems that the Prime Minister Boris Johnson promised last week. The director of the CIA, William Burns, says President Vladimir Putin appears determined to press ahead with his war against Ukraine despite setbacks on the battlefield. Mr. Burns said he thought the Russian leader was convinced doubling down would enable him to make progress.
He's in a frame of mind in which he doesn't believe he can afford to lose. So the stakes are quite high in the east of Ukraine. As you know, Ukraine's military, with support from the West, continues to resist with a great deal of courage and tenacity, and as President Zelensky continues to demonstrate really remarkable leadership and resolve as well.
The British minister overseeing Northern Ireland has called on parties there to form a new power-sharing executive following elections that placed Irish nationalists at the top of the polls for the first time. Brandon Lewis said the public wanted a fully functioning devolved government in Northern Ireland, but the province's strongly pro-British Democratic Unionist Party is unlikely to do so. More details now from Emma Vardy in Belfast.
Next week, the parties will meet and they'll be required to nominate a First and Deputy First Minister. And the DUP has said it already won't do that because of its opposition to the Brexit arrangements. And even though those roles are equal, the DUP is even less likely to want to go back into government, serving as a deputy alongside a Sinn Féin First Minister. Meanwhile, negotiations with the EU are continuing to try to solve those Brexit problems with the Irish Sea border. And while that is continuing, the DUP's position is unlikely to change.
World news from the BBC. A pro-Beijing election committee in Hong Kong is expected to endorse John Lee as the territory's new chief executive in the coming hours. Mr. Lee, a former police officer who rose to become Hong Kong's security chief, is the only candidate to replace Carrie Lam. Analysts say Beijing sees him as the only safe choice. He has pledged to ensure law and order. The former Brazilian president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, has launched his campaign to return to power in October's election. The left-wing leader urged supporters to unite behind him to defend democracy and defeat the right-wing incumbent Jair Bolsonaro. Our Brazil reporter Daniel Gala says the change in Lula's fortune is remarkable.
It's one of the most astonishing political comebacks we've seen, in modern times. If you look back 4 years ago, Lula was in jail, accused of corruption, sentenced, and now 4 years later, he regained his political rights. He managed to discredit all the court decisions that were ruled against him. There was a big revision of his corruption case. So it is quite astonishing that all of this happened in such a short period of time.
The president of Zimbabwe, Emmerson Mnangagwa, has ordered banks to stop lending immediately in an attempt to stop speculation against the Zimbabwean dollar and control its rapid depreciation. The Zimbabwean dollar lost half its value this year, making it Africa's worst-performing currency. An 80-1 outsider has won the Kentucky Derby in one of the biggest upsets in the history of America's most celebrated horse race. Rich Strike, ridden by Sonny Leon, stormed to victory at Churchill Downs in Louisville. The horse was only brought into the field on Friday after another had to drop out. BBC World News.